Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Beaten Path. Today we're traveling to Minneapolis, Minnesota to visit Twin Cities Drum Collective. Founded by Lane Pederson, TCDC has become Minnesota's destination drum shop with a great selection of new, used, and vintage equipment, but also their own custom drum brand, 651 Drums. Alongside all the variety of drums, cymbals, and accessories you'd expect to find here, they also provide lessons, repairs, along with designing and building some of the most unique custom drums on the market today. Most importantly of all, they act as a gathering space for drummers throughout the Twin Cities and are a huge resource to the local community. Before we get any further into the video, I want to remind you that I'm creating new episodes in this series each month, so make sure to subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on all of my future releases. And without any further ado, let's take a look inside Twin Cities Drum Collective.
Hey Mike, welcome to TCDC.
Hey Lane, thanks for having me.
You bet.
So before we get too far along into learning about everything you're doing here at TCDC today, I wanted to get a little background about how you got into drumming and how that has led you here today.
Well, I've had a drum problem since I was little. Of course, I got into it in school band like a lot of us, and it just kind of grew from there, eventually being interested in creating my own custom brand. And moving into retail became a natural place to go from there. I've also played music for a long time. My band, Dillinger 4, we've been together for over 30 years now.
I mean, I know you're an active performer. That band still tours and travels. You manage the shop, and then you also have an entire separate career as well, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty busy. I guess I'm a clinical psychologist by trade. I have 5 clinics. I specialize in a type of therapy called dialectical behavior therapy. And so I also write a lot of books. I train a lot of other therapists and psychologists around the world, and always kind of busy in the world of psychology. So the shop here, the custom drums, is just another part of what I do overall. Twin Cities has a rich history with drum shops going, back to Dahlgren's Drum Shop and Thompson Drum Shop. And when I came up to the cities when I was college age, it was Ellis Drum Shop. And I had a job in his original shop on University, just because I love being around drums and drumming and drummers and that sort of thing. There have been other shops that have popped up over time that have come and gone. And I just really felt like there was a place for a drum shop again in the Twin Cities here. And I wanted to do something unique, focusing more on boutique brands, focusing more on serious hobbyists, semi-pro and pro drummers, also being a place where we can specialize in repairs of all types. And then, of course, I think that launching a custom drum company, it's important to have a place where people can put their hands on the drums and play them and experience them. And that's something that I think is unique about our shop, is we want people who come in to actually play the drums, play the cymbals, not buy with their eyes, but buy something that's going to work out well for them with whatever sound they're looking for.
Well, I think you bring up a great point, and talking about Ellis Drum Shop that's the first time I really saw a shop that had a heavy emphasis on building drums and was very successful. Anytime I played in the Twin Cities, most of the venues had an Ellis kit as the house drum set. And now when I go through the Twin Cities, I see a lot of your sets at different venues around town.
Getting into custom drums, I wanted to do drums that were distinct in the marketplace, offered something different. And a big part of that for us are the lugs that we offer that, by the way, are Swiss machined here in Minnesota, right here in the metro area. And with Nordic shells, we have an almost totally Minnesota-made product, save the parts that you can't get anywhere in Minnesota or the United States. So
sure.
Try to be very Minnesota-centric. And then it's all about offering drums that appeal to people, not only in terms of sound, of course, but also the aesthetic, the values behind what's being built, and just having a great formula for what you're doing.
And I know in today's market, it's always a race to get to the bottom price. But I think a lot of people are willing to pay more for, one, a personalized experience, but 2, like you're saying, is building drums here and using local parts. People feel connected to that. I can see why people who are from here have a great reverence for seeing how these drums and the parts that go into making them are all built locally.
Yeah, and like you're saying, the experience of it, right? So when someone is ordering what their dream kit is going to be, we talk about it. We talk about options, communicate with people throughout the process of it. We can send them pictures while things are being built, which people love. Hey, picked up the shells from Nordic today. They can see the finish going on or the wrap going on. They can be involved in any and all details, right? And there's no such thing here as saying like, oh no, I'm sorry, we don't do that. If it's something
Yeah.
that's important to the customer, we're going to make it happen for them. Whether it's some unique wrap you can see on some of our drums, wanting particular depth of shells or doing something kind of quirky or unusual because it's important to them. And then a lot of people just, they like what would be our standard build. And that actually makes us more of a boutique builder than a custom builder, because the idea is we do have a formula that we use with the majority of the drum set that we make for people.
I think that's a great point. There's definitely a balancing of like what, is signature to your brand and important, because you want people to come to you for what you do best.
Right.
But then being flexible and trying to serve the customer.
Absolutely. I feel like we do both of those things really well.
Looking around here, you guys have new brands as well as your own. Ludwig being one of the major ones. I see tons of Ludwig snares over here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how can you really compete with the history and tradition they've built up on snare drums?
You know what? It's actually hard to compete with Ludwig snares, to tell the truth. They're always going to be great snares. In fact, I'm straightening them out here because people take them off and they hold them. And again, they put them on a set, they sample them, which is what we want people to do. I think it's crazy, whether it's a general music store or a drum shop, where it's kind of like, don't touch it, don't play it. If you're looking at that and you go like, I'm kind of interested in that, the first thing we do is go running for the ladder. Take it down, let's set it up.
Yeah.
Make it comfortable for you, see what you think, right? And the person might leave and not buy a drum set that day, but our goal is to create long-term customers, right? I mean, that's really what it's about, is developing relationships with people over time. So this becomes a place where they want to come and hang, and you never know what kind of cool thing might have arrived, whether it's, a really awesome vintage Ludwig behind you there. To me, that's what I always loved about going to drum shops, is just seeing what you might discover, what might be a surprise, Maybe there's a diamond in the rough, you go through the used cymbals, there's just so many things, and then just talking drums, right? You could go to Sweetwater and buy a new kit, and it's going to come to you all boxed up. And it takes time to assemble all that, recycle all that material, get it tuned up. What if there's a problem? And the great thing about a drum shop is you come in, we'll take care of all of that for you.
You guys offer a lot of services, and a lot of times if someone might buy a head here, you're willing to help them get it tuned up before they leave.
We're going to put it on for you, tune it up, and just, little things too. Someone who said, their tension rods are slipping, and we're like, hey, let's throw a couple sleeved washers on there. That's probably going to help, keep your drum in tune, keep the tension rods from, unspooling on you. It's just those little simple service things, maybe get them interested in a new product, right? That's not why we do it, but it's about how can we give like a more inclusive, service, for people, not just do the minimum, but again, make them feel good about taking the time to come down to a shop like ours.
And of course, right behind you, I can kind of see we have all these drum heads and sticks. So even for the person not coming and looking to spend on an entire new drum set or snare, you have all the kind of expendables that people need to come in quick and grab before their show tonight.
Yeah, we go through a ton of heads. We probably, at least every couple weeks, get new huge shipment of heads in, because sticks and heads are always going, right? Bread and butter type stuff. In this world, it's hard to stock every stick that's available, but for example, Mike, if you lived here and you were a regular and we knew that you bought a particular stick, we would stock it, keep it in stock for you. That's the cool thing, right? To be able to go down and know that what you're looking for is going to be there. We can talk through the options and help them to arrive at what a good decision is going to be for them.
A huge part about that is availability. A lot of times when I need that stuff, I need it right away. And, I live in a smaller town where we only have music stores that focus on a variety of instruments. And sometimes I'll go in and find the head I want in 2 of the 3 sizes I need. And then it's like, well, I'm already stuck ordering one online now. So I can't just take it home with me today. So being able to have that stuff here and at the ready for people to grab and go is really helpful.
Exactly.
Cool. So beyond the retail side of things, I know that you guys are also invested in doing private lessons here.
Yeah, let me show you our lesson room back here. We have a couple really outstanding teachers. So Todd Trainer of Shellac, he's really kind of our anchor instructor here at TCDC. Gordy Knutson, who needs probably no introduction to a lot of drummers. Emma Garau teaches here, fantastic player. She also works here at the shop. And so we have really awesome instructors. And one thing I love about our lesson room here is, we've outfitted it with Evans BB1 head and cymbals. So, people can actually do their lesson and not blow out their hearing, and the communication between teacher and student is really enhanced, right?
I was just gonna say, as someone who teaches lessons myself, it's not only the wear and tear on your ears from playing, because sometimes there's an importance to be able to have the touch and feel of a full volume cymbal, but to be able to communicate while we're playing and not have to rip our earplugs out, or
right.
I'm telling a student, good job, and they just stop because they think I was trying to give them corrective feedback.
Right. And it's kind of cool. We also sometimes have people come in and they'll just use our lesson room if it's open to do rehearsal. Simon Dawson, I believe that's his name, the new drummer for Iron Maiden. He was in here a couple months ago just rehearsing for a couple hours while he was in town. And I think oh, that's cool. He was probably in here rehearsing Iron Maiden songs. Help him get the gig, right? Happened here in this room. So kind of neat stuff, when you have a drum shop.
Yeah, and one of my favorite aspects about this room too, besides having actual Twin Cities drum collective kits, this is a drum shop and drums take up a lot of space, and you guys are using every inch you have to its max capacity for storage and inventory, shells for future drum builds, boxes for shipping.
Yeah, absolutely. I would take you to the back corner and then back to our back room where building and assembly and repairs and that sort of thing takes place.
Awesome.
So this is just kind of our back corner space here. That's the cool thing about drum shops too, is being able to see the nooks and crannies. I remember being out to Pro Drum Shop in Hollywood, and what a cool place that is, and having Jerry give me a tour of the place and just seeing all the little spots, right? Even if there's a spot where things ship from or whatever cool set that might be around. But yeah, we've got a great selection of cymbals. We mostly carry higher end cymbals, of course, Zildjian, Sabian, great boutique cymbals like Big Island, Burn. We do a lot of Dream cymbals. So it would be unlikely for you to come down here and not find a cymbal that you love. We've got our table saw, our router here, our assembly table. Right now we have some builds that are coming together to get out the door. So it's a little bit cluttered, but most of the building is happening off-site now, and then most of the assembly is happening here, which is great because it would be like, chaos if we were trying to do it all in this space.
Things like finishing, glue ups, there's a toxic element to it too, so it's probably safer to do not so close to your retail space.
Right. I think the main thing with safety is just having enough room, right? So you're not shuffling things around constantly. For example, on a custom wrap, you need a lot of space and you need clean space to do it. If you do it correctly with the type of contact cement that you ought to be using, there's not a margin of error. The moment that it touches the shell, it better be going on correct or it's all over, right?
Yeah.
So especially if we're working with a super custom wrap like on this double bass kit coming together for an Ozzy tribute band, there's a lot of expense that goes into doing that custom wrap that we did exclusively. And so the last thing you want is to be in a crowded space and something goes on crooked and this is, like I said, it's all over, right? Now you're set back a couple months. You don't get custom stuff like that, anywhere and within like days or anything like that. So
I can imagine, yeah. One other thing I love about this space is there's this giant window here out into the retail space. So it's probably cool for customers and gives them just a better sense of how locally things are made when they can kind of look through the window while they're shopping and see someone working on a drum, even if it's just repairing a drum that's broken.
Right. Well, it is really cool because, and by the way, sometimes Todd, our master repairer, is back here just finding random stuff to put together. This is kind of a funny little random thing he put together here. Might not make the cut. But anyway, one thing that's cool is we can bring people back too, and maybe they're wondering about the difference between mahogany shell or cherry, or talk about different shell types. We always have, some different shells in stock here. But the point is that, we can bring people back and they can kind of hands-on touch the material. We can talk about the material, talk about how that's going to influence the end result, whether you're talking about a satin or a high gloss or something else. And, again, that's not something that a lot of people get to experience is, working with the raw materials.
Yeah, well, and you guys are so lucky too to have Nordic be your neighbor. So
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
work on a custom kit for somebody, you can just pop over there someday and go out and pick them up in person and talk to Dave and the
Oh,
team who
yeah,
put them
yeah.
together.
Yeah, no, I love going out there and hanging out with Dave. Of course, we're saving the customer because we're not shipping in shells from another location and going and picking them up locally. So that helps with the bottom line, for the customer. But, I love that aspect of what we do, which is being able to source locally, with our lugs, for example, being able to go to where they're machined and sit down with the people who do it and just be involved in the entire process. And as far as our drums, one of the things that I think is a differentiator for us is the lugs themselves. When I got into doing custom drums, my belief was you need to do something that stands out or something that is unique in the marketplace. Because if you're just buying the same parts that anyone can buy, now I'm not trying to offend anyone by this, but you're not really a drum manufacturer or builder. You're assembling, right? And there might be an element of craftsmanship that you put into the finish, or it certainly takes skill to do edges and layout and drilling and those sorts of things. But there's nothing unique that you're adding to the marketplace that's different. Where I think we've really upped the game with that is with our lugs that are machined out of aviation grade aluminum. They're very lightweight. They attach with a bolt with a lock nut rather than a screw going through the backside. So once they're there. Nothing's going to come apart on you. And it's our own unique look and design too. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm a huge fan of legacy drums, especially Ludwig, Gretsch. I use the word better very carefully. And there's a reason why we don't have cast lugs like these legacy brands do. Cast lugs have their own downsides to them. But these brands that I love too so much, they can't change their lug. Their lug is their identity. I mean, you can't imagine DW with, not having the original Camco DW lug, right? You can't imagine Ludwig or Gretsch without their lug. But we're able to create our lugs, basically from scratch. So we were able to design them the way we thought would make the most sense. And I think that's pretty cool, and it makes us unique.
Well, before we wrap it up, I want to just highlight one more thing that I think is really unique that you guys are doing, and that's product development.
Yeah. So aside from having written probably the best book on drumming out there, one of the products that we developed here, our Hoop Protect product, and really the inspiration behind this very simple yet genius product is we would build a brand new drum set and we put it out on the floor. And of course, like I said, we want people to play the drum sets. And you have a brand new drum set out for 24 hours and there's already hoop rash on it, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought, why does everyone make these like Hoop Protect things with adhesive, which the adhesive itself, is destructive to your hoop. And by the way, have you ever met anyone who likes gunk? They're just like, what I really love? Things that are like gunky. We have people, they bring in their drum set maybe to consign or that sort of thing. If they have a cat or something, there's hair all over their like adhesive-based protectant.
Yeah.
It's kind of disgusting, frankly. So I designed this to just slip right on a hoop. No adhesive or anything. In addition to protecting your hoop, it gives you like the best pedal grip. A lot of people have these. Danny Carey has these on his drum kits for Tool, which is pretty cool. Ronnie from the Killers, I think he collects Craviato kits and bought like a dozen of them or something like that. The other great thing about it is people will throw them in their bag if they have to do like a backline kit. I don't know whether you've ever been on a backline kit where you couldn't get your pedal to clamp. Well, this is like the solution to that. You've got that, you throw it on and you're pretty much good to go.
Before I end this video, I just want to thank you again for giving me the time today. And if people want to learn more about Twin Cities Drum Collective or follow you, where can they see you online?
Well, we're on Instagram, Twin Cities Drum Collective, the word spelled out with the underscore between each word. Also, our website is tcdrumcollective.com. Come in, hang out. We've got a great staff here. We love to talk drums. We would love to help you out with whatever you need.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike.